Hello and good evening and welcome to PLANNERCRAFT. Today we're going to be talking all about pens and pencils because it's National Stationery Week and today is Pens and Pencils Day. So I've already started on a drawing here which I started with the Pilot Friction Colours, a review of which can be found on our blog, which is plannercraft.uk, and you can see how I got on with creating this drawing. And then I've fine lined it with Mangaka flexible liners, mostly with a fine pen. And then I've been experimenting with the chameleon markers. I have to say there's a knack to using them and I haven't quite found it yet. Okay, so today, as we're talking about pens and pencils, I want to hear your questions, so pop them in the chat box or onto our Facebook page or via Twitter. Let's get started. So as I said, I've been playing with the chameleon pens, and this one is the meadow green. So you've got one tip that is a fine tip and a kind of very weird brush tip. And I say weird because I find it actually doesn't act like a brush. And you have a third, which is a clear blender. Now you can't use this as a pen, but this actually slots onto the end of your marker and it takes the colour out of your marker. You hold it with your blender up at the top and your pen underneath. And then however long you leave it like that for varies your colour. So you'll find that yourself holding this for a while between colourings. And you'll start to see that the ink actually starts to disappear out of the marker. And this is how it blends. So the clear end contains basically a marker blending solution which takes the colour out of your nib, and then as you draw and move the pen it slowly gets darker and darker, hence you get the shading. Now this is great on small areas, but when we're working on larger areas it's a bit more difficult, so you'll find yourself constantly going back to the blender pen and waiting a bit longer and watching your pen, and it's not very mathematical, to be honest. I think a beginner might actually struggle quite a bit. So I'm just putting in some detail with our full strength colour before going back to our blender. I'm going to wait a bit longer because I'm going to want to blend that back out. And I'm going to start by down the bottom, and as I move up you can see the colour starts to come back. And again back to our blender. Hope everybody can see and hear me okay. If not, feel free to give us a little tink. Again, you can do that by either the live chat here on YouTube or via our Facebook or Twitter pages. So I've done a bit longer so I can start back up this top section. I'm just going to side to side. Now one of the things I have found with these pans is where it's overlapping the friction marker, you actually get a little bit of a ghosting even after you've erased the marker, which is why you can probably start to see a line appearing just here. It's actually the residue from the friction. And then I'm just going to use the pen somewhere else in the drawing so that we keep our colours all tied in. And then that end goes on that end, and then it goes back on the other. Makes it a very long pen as well. Oh, good prodding. Should speak up. Yes. So, I've got the warm sunset colour, which is the yellow colour from the pack. And I'm going to use that in some of our window areas. And this time I'm going to go up the other way because I want it to be darker up towards the top. And that's
What happens if you turn it the other way up last year?
if you end up holding it the other way up, as I found out, you will actually colour the blending end and not actually take the ink out of your pen end. So it's a good idea to not do that. If I show you, I do actually have one that I did earlier. So hopefully you can see that it's got blue tinge to the tip rather than being white like all the others. Eventually you can get it back if you hold it upside down long enough. Actually on the pen, not just hold it upside down. And you can see the colours just starting to come back through, and because obviously we want to try and keep this at the same level, I'm doing dot 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 dot. Okay, and then when we get up here we can just go straight across. And now one of the other problems I highlighted in my review was the fact that the fine liners don't dry on the friction either. So you can actually accidentally pick up the liner, so you have to go really careful with that bit.
Can't see that side of the...
Okay, I'll do some more here so you can see.
Sorry, I just noticed.
It's okay, it's because we have to work on a delay, so I'll do that again. Da, 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 da. The other thing is I keep wanting to put the clip on the other end, but you can't.
Doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit.
Not right.
It's not right. Okay. So far this entire drawing has been done using the chameleon markers. So now I'm going to bring in some other markers and let's see how those react. I'm going to start off with some flex markers. Okay. So I'm going to add a bit more colour into here because the texture's just looking a bit wrong. So our flex marker has a
chisel.
Thank you. I was looking for the word. A chisel end. And the other end is a lovely brush. And then we can start to use the brush to create some variation in our actual shading, which should hopefully cover up our line a little bit. You can get quite fine lines with the brush, as well as going in a bit stronger where you need to. You can combine these with the Pro Marker blender pens as well. Next I'm going to go in with some, let's go for that one, ivory. So just to show how old the Pro Marker is. Still going strong. Yeah. It is live, it can all go wrong. So this one's really, really subtle. It is coming out. It's not this one out, honest. So I'm just going to do some block shading in here. And this one picks up the line work much more than our other markers. Just to show you how much, I'll show you the chisel tip on this in a minute. So, there you go. Not liking the manga car there. So, let's scribble it off on a spare piece of paper. And it does come back fairly clean, so don't worry about it too much. Do you want to put numbers up for these? Because that was the Pro Marker in ivory. And the one I was using before is the G367 Flex Marker.
G1.
367.
Flex marker.
Yeah.
We were saying that Pro markers are now Winsor & Newton, aren't they?
Yes, Pro Markers are now Winsor & Newton. I just don't have any brand new ones to show you. All donations gratefully received. Okay, so now I'm going to try a Copic. This is a Copic Chow marker, which is Y00.
CH.
So again, we have a smaller chisel and a brush, Y00.
Yo.
And we can go back in and just increase the depth on our ivory where we need to. Again, that didn't pick up the ink too much, so that's good. Okay. Now I'm going to go for cheap as possible. So we've done the expensive markers, now we're down to cheap.
These tiger ones.
No, this one is from the works.
What?
Right, and when they did their markers.
Don't do them anymore.
Yep, at the last check they didn't have them anymore. Although to be honest, my yellow seems to have gone a bit of a funny colour, so perhaps that's why. I'm going to put a base coat of this one over here. That's because I'm going to draw back over the top of this in a bit. Now the paper I'm working on is Letraset bleed proof marker pad. It's 70 GSM, so it's really thin, which can be good if you're tracing over a light box. And the markers that we mentioned were the tiger ones, which are these ones here. So I'll bring one of those in for you to have a look at. Okay, this is a tiger marker. You've got a chisel at the end and a medium bullet at that end. So I'm just going to go direct to my drawing and just putting a few more details over this blue area, including I want to start putting some shadows into our little pods. Hopefully you can hear us okay. If not, give us a shout.
Dodgy couple of minutes.
So I'm just going to use the same marker to just put a little detail into our windows up here. The benefit with the chisel end is being able to block in colours really quickly. So, like for instance over here, we can just go straight in. you're also able to get a really fine edge with your chisel. So I'm literally using that uppermost corner. Please excuse the bells tonight. I'm just going to touch in some colour over here, and I'm going to go back and add some shading to the windows like you can see on some of the other ones. It's going to just give you the shininess of the glass. So I've already added a little bit of a hint here. I'm just going to add some over the top. The joy of the marker pens is that you can layer colour like this.
Sounds alright, it's just
The stream quality of the
just go up
video.
and down
I do apologise if anybody's struggling to watch us.
Mum is watching.
So again, I'm just going to drop little hints of the colour in, because I don't want to interfere too much with the bits of the window content that you can actually see. So I'm just following that same angle.
Yeah, we can't see that far side.
Sorry.
I'm only saying.
I'll go for a light colour over here. Don't think that's going to show up on the video. What I mean. Nope. I don't think even down there you'd be able to. Come in. Actually, between the bells and the native hammering. I need a pale grey. No, I haven't got one. That's bad.
Pale grey, you got the new thingy.
And the thing is,
They come on.
oh, that's the wrong pencil, guys. That's a down moment if ever there was one. It's just one of those days today.
What colour's that?
I wanted to do
Is that
nice.
pale grey?
Yeah, light
That's
grey.
pale grey. That's pale grey.
Yeah. What's the difference between the two? Here's a comparison for you. So the brushes that I have in front of me are both Clean Colours by Kuretake, and the one in my right hand is light grey, and the one in my left hand is the pale grey. So just to give you some idea of the difference in colour, because no doubt you're wondering. That is the light grey. And I can do this left-handed knot. And that is the pale grey.
Basically the same colour.
No. The get the right way around. The light grey's darker. But at least there is a difference. So the clean colour brush is a watercolour brush, hence then they won't react with the alcohol underneath. They also won't react with your manga craft fine liners. You can also layer up the colour to get the shade that you want with these. Can't hear very many questions so far, can you?
No, I'll have to speak up.
Bell's not coming across. Seriously? They have been going like non-stop.
Remember where to put the microphone.
Yeah. If anything, the mic's actually closer than usual to the bells. Okay, so which should I try next?
Don't know, I haven't done any pencils.
Pencils. But on my desk I have some Derwent signature pencils. And the one I have in my hand is an S290.
Is that what?
A Derwent signature. Okay. And that's a light grey. So we can go in with this one and do some shading. Now this is quite a hard pencil, so it's very waxy, but quite firm. I find it's good for sketching ideas, but not necessarily for finishing up with. This is a very whistle stop tour of all the things in my craft room. Oh, that's handy. 2 random colour soft pencils. Okay. Here's another go-to pencil. This is a Derwent Colour Soft, and I've got 2 in here, so I'm going to go for the darker one actually, which is the C420 green.
C420.
Yeah. Now this is a, like it says on the tin, it's a soft pencil. So it's in the same league as the Prismacolor pencils or the Faber-Castells, and really nice soft ones, Polychromos. Get them eventually. No, Gelato's the little things in the glass box. Haven't got there yet. Technically not a pen or a pencil. Technically. So you can see the colour on these goes down much easier, and you can also blend them a lot easier. And they have the added benefit of, if you grab a, whoop, don't go chucking your dance medals on the floor. Just happened to pick up a Prismacolor one, but this is a alcohol marker blender pen, but it also does really well at blending colour pencil. So it will take any sort of texture marks out, it will blend between colour and non-colour areas, it will blend between tones and also between different hues of pencil. So if you're trying to do a smooth blend, one of these is invaluable. I also use it a lot in my portraiture work so that we get a smooth blend between light and shade. And they don't have to be expensive. Now, the other pencil that we have in here is a really sort of beginner pencil. It's a watercolour student's pencil, which is from the Start range by Derwent, I believe. Hey, I'm good. And you can start to see with this one a bit more. Oh, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Oh.
Do you banned for the next 6 weeks?
Yeah. You can start to see where it actually won't overlay where the friction pen was, even though the actual pen itself's been erased. But there's a way around that. So if I hand you back your purple pencil so you can put a code in, and I will grab a water brush. Now, because of the type of paper this is, I would not recommend using a traditional watercolour brush because you'll just flood the paper. What you want to do is get your brush, swipe it in your hand so you make sure you're not getting too much water off, and then very, very lightly, very, 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 very lightly go over the top. And if you happen to have a handy cloth standing by, this is a good time to use it because you're going to want to blot it before it gets too crinkly. Yeah, we can try those. Going to move a bit further up the range of watercolour pencils, and we have some aquatone pencils. Now, these are unusual in that they don't have a wooden case. They're literally sticks of pure pigment, which means that you can use them on the side for board areas or on the point for detail. You can also use sandpaper to get that point to a shape that you want. And you can literally go straight to paper, or you can scrub it on a bit of waste paper and then use it as a palette. So I'm going to go in down here on this tyre.
You broken many?
I was going to say, this car's had a bit of an accident, hence the wheels are all crooked, and it's had a hammering. Don't know who was driving it, but I don't think they should be allowed to drive. I didn't say that. Okay. So we've literally just sketched in colour. And again, we can just pick up that pigment and move it around. Now I have to say the aquatone pencils coped with the remnants of the outline much easier than the student pens did, which is something to consider. And again, we're going to blot it. Okay, next. Oh dear, oh dear. Far too slow. Okay, next we have some Graffy tints, which I have to say are some of my favourite pencils because they are so funky. You essentially get 3 different colours from this pencil depending on how and when you wet it. So I'm going to start by literally applying it to paper so you can see how that colour actually reflects. So at the moment you can see it's got a nice teal blue tip and the colour is shadow. So given this cool shadow, we're going to draw in some shadows. So we've got a little edge here, so this shadow's going to fall like that. We've got a banister here, so it's going to miss that. Ding-a-ding-a-ding. But you're going to see a little hint of it just here. Okay? Dinky-dinky-dinks. Okay. So you can see you've got basically grey with a hint of a colour. And then we'll see what it does when we get it wet. So you can see as soon as we add water, the colour changes significantly. Now don't forget, if you've got your clean colour underneath it, it will react with those. But if you have the Inktense pencils that we'll show you shortly, it won't. Thank you. So I can just blot it. And that is one way that you can do colour with a water brush and a graphitin pencil. But the next is to go direct to the pencil with your water brush. And let's see, I'm going to go in here. Let's create a little nook. And you can see that this colour is much more vibrant. It doesn't have the grey tinge to it, you just tend to get more of the actual pigment when you pick it up off the pencil. And we can just go in and blend it in. I'm just going to follow this roof line up and just draw in a little bit up here before we move on. So that's how you work with Inktense pencils. Not getting very many questions here. If at any point you want me to stop and explain a bit more detail about any of the pencils and how they're made, please say so. So, also in this little lovely pencil case, I have some drawing pencils. Now these are really soft, really soft, more so than the colour softs. But they are intended more for landscape drawing, so they're very earthy colours. So if I grab a few, so you can have you. So you can see very earth-based tones. These are good for sketching when you're out and about, so hence they're in my travel pencil case. And they work well with the graphitints because they won't be water soluble. So they're good for doing outlines when you want to keep an outline. So I'm using Olive Earth, which is 5160. I think my typist has gone to sleep. I'm just going to put in a... Huh? Nodded off.
What was my number?
Not nodding off, but what's my number? 5160, and it's Olive Earth. Do a drawing. Let's sketch in some colour so you can see how it reacts on its own as well as when it's on a colour. So as I said, these are very soft and you can feel when you actually rub your finger over them. Nice pencils. As I'm over here, I'll just get these ones out. Gonna take a jump to the other end of the scale. Okay. I'm very lucky in that I have what was then a full set of prisms. I'm sure they've brought out more new colours since. You can see now which are my go-to pencils by the length of them. These pencils are really good for doing full fine art pencil work. So you would possibly combine them with pastels, but the majority of the work is going to be done by your pencils. Again, you can use the alcohol blenders with these. And just going to go through. Let's add in some faces. I'm just going to blend over this with the lighter pencil. And you can see how much they really do blend. You should always keep your pencils with a good sharp point as well. I personally use a... Okay, I did say you should. Honestly, can't get the stuff.
Those two are just square. Yes.
I haven't got to those two yet. Yeah. So, this is how you should keep your pencils. Nice sharp, and then you can do lots of detail. I use a automatic sharpener, is it?
What, your windy one?
Yeah, my windy one. Oh!
Hand winding.
Hand winding. Mate, it's certainly not a normal one, is it? Mind you, nothing in this house is normal, is it?
Like what you used to have at school, isn't it?
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Back in... No, you sound old.
Back in the day when I was a lad.
Okay, there's a better example. Proof that I do actually sit and sharpen them occasionally.
That's just one you haven't used.
If it was one I haven't used, it wouldn't even be sharpened because they arrived not sharpened. Yeah, I had to sit and go through the entire 132 pencils and sharpen them all.
You missed two. Too much sharp.
The idea being that you can also sharpen them with a scalpel, which is what most artists do. Just not me. I don't like sharp things. fact, I used to get told off at college for not doing it that way. Okay, next product we have is a Prismacolor block, which is basically a block form with the same pencil. And this can be good for doing a block area, oddly enough. So you want to do a big area quickly, or with texture. So if you imagine doing this on watercolour paper, you'll actually pick up the texture of the paper. Just what are you planning on doing with those cosmetic sponges? I just wonder what you're waving them about. Okay. Minutes. And we're still not all the way there yet. Nowhere near.
You really are.
But are you saying I've got that many coloured pencils? I've got a few less now.
Donate to the kids.
It depends on what they are. On there. In there. In there. In the space there. Push that back. They go in front. Like so. Oh boy. So these are chromatics, and they're waterless coloured pencils. So they're a bit like the acrytone, but they're not actually water soluble. But you could use the alcohol blender pens. And they are by Fantasia Limited. So I will give you in the details and you can pop those up online. So we can start to bring in a bit of detail work. And they don't have colour codes on these, so it's a case of play with them and see what you get, because you will find, if I pull one out in particular, so you can see that you will get like a coating on them, but don't worry, it's just clear when you actually draw with it. I like them because there's no waste with them. They literally have like a clear varnish around the edges so your hands don't get mucky. But they give lovely vibrant colour. Next we have some Derwent watercolours. What's it? So if I apply that over the top, and then you can see how much we then pick up that colour underneath. My water brush is starting to get a bit blobby now. So just get a little white around, so I'm literally twisting my brush just to get the moisture out of it. If you draw it down, it'll actually get more water. also have some water soluble pencils. These are good for if you want to do black and white drawings, line art. Yeah, just black and white, or you can use them as like a shadow over the top of a colour drawing if you want to knock it all back a bit, if it's a bit too... Hello!
It was a water soluble pencil.
Yes. Yeah, it's a water soluble pencil. Knock it back, so you go over the top with the pencil, over the colour. Then with your water brush, blend it in, it knocks the colour back a couple of shades.
Carry on.
Oh dear. So you can see, you get... It's just like working with a normal pencil to start with. You can just sketch it in your areas of shadow and we just go, oh, the light would be hitting the other edge, so we'll give them a little shadow there. And that's the HB, so you can see that's much stronger than a normal HB pencil would be. And these go all the way up to 8B, or it's 6B, but it's an 8B. So if I compare, let's go in here, so you can really see how black this is. So I'm just going to put a little bit there. So it's really, really strong colour. So quiet. So quiet. So you can see that it will soften with water, but the actual pencil stroke that you make won't blend out entirely. I'm going to be testing you on this later. Yep. See whether you were paying attention. No. Oh dear. Well, I've been asking her to ask questions, but she hasn't. Perhaps I should be testing Mum. Except she should know it already. Okay, pastel pencils. Good way of getting mucky. Less mucky than using actual pastels, but still mucky. So if I show you on here. This is what I could do with one of Lucy's paper stumps. I think just pinched all mine. So I'm going to use a rubber. And just blend it out. Or you can be mucky and use your pen and finger. I don't like pastels. They're scratchy and they're mucky and no, not me. I can hear my mum saying, yeah right, you like being mucky. Oh, with pastels I don't. I think it stems once from when I was at school, I think it was, maybe college. I did a drawing with doing King Tut, as in the full on gold mask in pastels, and it looked spectacular. But then it didn't stay spectacular. It kind of smudged a bit. Good rule of thumb. If they say to me fix with hairspray, try it. If it still smudges, then it wasn't enough. do it some more. Lots of light layers of hairspray. Doesn't have to be expensive hairspray. All the rest of these pads? No. Derwent Studios. These are what I would call technical colouring pencils. Suitable for adult colouring books. Rough cartridge paper, but I would avoid smooth surfaces with them. If you're going to be working on something smooth, use your Coloursoft or your Prismacolors or your... It's gone again. It's gone. I had it. I said it earlier. Come on. Coloursoft, Prismacolors and...
ink tints?
No, not ink tints.
Faber-Castell?
Yeah. By Faber-Castell. What colour did I say? Oh, come on. Ah! Done. I know Mum's going to be shouting at the screen. It's a...
Pineapple.
Pineapple? Why is everything a pineapple? It's worse than Jamie's hot dog.
Do so much more with a pineapple.
So if I just show you. No, you can't.
You can plant a pineapple.
Actually, you can't plant a hot dog. So I'm just going to sketch in some... Give the poor boy some proper legs.
You know you're going to wake up in the middle of the night and shout that.
Yeah. And it has just totally gone. Come on, Mum, help me. What is the word that I am missing?
Please?
Please? I can't remember. I even said it earlier in the video. This is really bad. It's just one of those days today. I've had my Thursday today, haven't I?
Yeah.
I thought this morning, you know, it's pen and pencil day. What shall I do? I'll do a review, and then I end up not being happy with what I reviewed, or rather having to give a very truthful review, didn't I?
You did. They were dodgy though.
I didn't say that they were dodgy. I just said that they were not suitable for what I was trying to do with them. I just said that they would be making their way back into my planner pencil case and out of my artist one. What can I say? Are you still trying different erasers on my private pen? Come in.
I thought the funny bit was the heat fit that we did.
Oh, yeah, if you want to give yourself a bit of a giggle, draw a lovely pilot drawing with your friction pens. Yeah. Make it really detailed. Get a hairdryer. That's fun. Because your drawing will vanish completely back to a white sheet. And then, as it cools down, it will magically reappear.
Well, most of it does. Some bits don't.
Well, yeah, that was a bit bizarre. I had bands. You can still see them. Even though I've gone back over it with a razor after that, you can still see the bands. That's really weird. So, this pencil that I'm using to sort out my grading bits here is a Derwent Artist pencil in grass green. And this is somewhere between the Signature and the Coloursoft pencil. Also in this little stash I have some more drawing pencils, randomly. That's just a normal HB. I'm gonna have to get the big tin out, aren't I? Just move that out of the way because otherwise that's gonna go wee. Oh, I knew that was gonna happen. Okay, ink tents. Well, it says it's water soluble. It is, very true. But if you've worked with watercolour pencils before, forget everything you learnt when we work with these. Right. Oi! As it is, somebody's made off with one of the pencils. Don't know who. Or where. Or when. So my full set is not a full set. Now, there's 72 pencils in this box, and I think that is the full range. I think.
71 because you're missing one.
Well, yeah. But part of that 72 isn't actually 72. Because in the bottom here, looking like it's a black pencil, but it's not, is an outliner. Now, the outliner special, it is not water soluble. You can erase it so long as you draw with it lightly. Don't go full pelt with it, because otherwise you'll find that it doesn't erase easily. And because it's not water soluble, you can work over the top of it and it won't go anywhere, which is great if you want to keep your line up. But once you go over it, don't expect to be able to erase it easily. You have two ways of working with these pencils, and to be honest, there's only one way I work with them now. I work with these direct to paper because of having the detail point. I'm very lucky in that I have the Inktense blocks for the other technique, which is where you can actually go direct to the pencil with your brush and pick up the colour and then off you go. Be aware that it will affect your pencil slightly. You can blend colours, but you have to do it there and then. So if you're going to do that, I'm going to take some scrap paper, any scrap paper, I was going to say preferably write a number on it. You would first, and I'm going to use totally different colours so you can see. Go direct to your paper with...
What colour was that?
I think it was that one. I'll double check. Yep, it's that one, which is the red violet. And it has a code on these ones. And let's go something totally different and go poppy red. I'm not doing this on fancy paper. So you would literally go over your colour first, and before you let it dry, you're going to start to blend in your other colour. Now the violet colour is quite a pale shade, so you will see that it doesn't transfer as much as that red does. That red is really vibrant. Okay, Now, if we were to do that slightly differently, you put the poppy red back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Okay. Poppy red. I'm going to go for a darker colour just so that you can see it better, which is the thistle. I'm just going to put that down there for a minute. It is 720. Just going to start by getting this get wet and blend it out. Clean my brush. These are the only pencils which I wouldn't recommend blending with a Wink of Stella. You usually wait until this is much drier before doing the next bit. So I'm going to scribble a good bit of colour. Is the chat not working today?
That's working.
Oh dear.
But your mum can't remember what the pencils are called either.
Oh dear. Polychromos. There you go. It comes back eventually. So if we then start to take this colour over the top, you'll see it won't actually pick up the pigment underneath, and you can still see the outline. Because once they're dry, they are dry. They are not going anywhere. They are permanent. And they won't blend. So once you first get them wet, that's it. That's the only time that you have to move that pigment around. Which can be good. But you need to be aware that that is what is going to happen. Now this isn't the best paper, which is why it's crinkling a bit, but it serves its purpose, just so you can see how they will blend when you do them both together. But they won't blend if you wet one and then go over once it's dry. If you're going to use the Wink of Stella with those pencils, I'd recommend that you do the entire lot with just the water brush. And you want to make absolutely certain there is no dry pigment left on that page.
Any wet pigment?
No, any dry pigment. So in other words, if you go da 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 da, blah 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 blah. Those areas where you haven't gone over with water are still active. So if you were to then go over that with your Wink of Stella, it would pick up in your brush, but because it's a permanent strong ink, you will not get your Wink of Stella back clean. Okay? Understand what I'm trying to say now? Okay. Hmm?
It's fine in here. I think you look good.
I'm just going to use these on here. And you can just use them as normal colouring pencils if you want. They are very soft and they are full of pigment, absolutely full of it. And in some ways they're nicer to use than the Prismas. questions? No. Oh dear. We must be running out of pencils by now, surely. Surely. Oh. I want to quickly waggle some blocks. Oh, I got the back the wrong way, didn't I? Duh. That way. I actually meant to take the lid off them. Yeah. Don't worry. It's wrapped with washi, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We could be there all night, guys. Oh. And that's it for tonight. If you do have any questions about pens or pencils at any point, you can drop them over on our blog or on our Facebook page. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you tomorrow night when we'll be doing something I can't remember. Oh. Bye!